So, if you are cool, then you will already be in my Discord server. Um, but if you are uh, working on becoming cool, then you can join the Discord server, you know, and request. Like this was a suggestion. This topic, when I thought it was actually quite interesting. It took me like a week to sit on it, process it, and really think about it and stuff. But I think this is something that could produce some interesting conversation. So let's see.
Right.
Hello.
What's up? What's up?
Nothing much. How are you?
Good. I'm a Christian, so like I just thought I'd
Okay.
be educated on why you're an atheist.
Why I'm an atheist?
Yes. Well, more
Well,
more so not just why you're an atheist. Um, why do you spiritually feel the need that you are an atheist?
why do I spiritual?
Like spiritual, like we all have energy, like we all have a soul, we all have our spiritual self. Um,
Okay, so like I don't believe that humans have souls.
oh shit, bro.
Yeah, like there's like
I mean, I can tell you an
so
incident real quick. When I was up in Texas, these police officers were doing pew pew to this person, and I saw a soul like coming right straight out of his body, angry,
you saw
like
a
like like
soul
like,
exit
an-
his
like an
body,
actual orb coming out of someone's body. Yeah, that's not the first time. Yeah,
and
and
that is very interesting,
and,
right? That
and,
is
and
very
it's weird,
interesting to witness,
of
but
course.
there is no way for for someone to prove that that's actually a soul that you saw.
Yeah, it did come out of the body and just went up and then out, but like, who knows? Who knows?
And that's yeah, like
So if you
like
don't
that
believe
that,
you have
that
a
type of stuff. I've
soul.
heard things like that before, and those are very interesting to me. But because I don't, there has never been anything like
Yeah, so yeah,
um
because I've seen it not just
yeah.
once. I've seen it like 5 or 6 times. Like I'm from New York. I live in Florida. Like I've had a lot of friends that passed, and I've seen it like 3 or 4 times at least. And
You've
not
seen
only that, the only reason why I do believe in the souls is because I have experience. Let me tell you a little something real quick. So I was with this Cuban girl, right? And I could tell like she had like a lot of like evil attached to her. So like I was joking around. I was 18. I opened up the Bible. I started reading the Bible backwards. Okay, like I was like joking around with
okay.
her, yada yada yada. On my front camera, you could see this spine-like figure, like an actual, like a soul, like a demonic soul, and it was flying around, and it literally jumped into me. As soon as I opened up that Bible and I started reading scripture backwards, which you're not supposed to do apparently, that thing went like inside of me. Like you could literally see. I got actual video proof on my camera of it coming in the front of my house through my garage, like into me. And bro, straight up, I ripped my chain off my neck. I literally ripped a Bible, a leather Bible in half. All these crazy things, bro. And that's when I was
Okay.
that's when I was 18. That's why I believe in souls. Like,
And that's why I think that personal experiences are unreliable, like for discovering things about the supernatural world. That's like
I mean,
that's
I've been
another
to
thing
the
that I believe.
spiritual realm, so that's why I'm trying to understand why you don't believe in that stuff. Because like, if you meditate and you deeply like, know yourself, and there is a
Right, like
spiritual realm out there.
so I know what you're talking about, and I believe that that exists, but
Yeah,
that
of course.
exists within the minds of individuals.
Well, what if it was bear witness with my eyes?
Then yes, then you accurately bared witness to the playground in your mind that actually exists and is real. It is not a spiritual realm. It
Well,
is it's
when
like
you're,
a psychological realm is probably a more accurate way to describe it.
I guess so. I mean, we do have two different perspectives. So I don't know your views on anything. So
So my views come from like what we can prove with evidence and data, and like
do
I
you
tend to view
believe?
things from the from more of a from more of like an anomalistic psychological perspective. That these are when someone says like I saw a ghost or I was possessed by a ghost or something, that is a common human experience, but that doesn't actually mean that ghosts exist.
Okay. Do you have any experiences with anything in your mind
Mhm.
that you've seen?
Like I've had spiritual experiences and things that I like could
So,
counted as
so
like
you don't believe in
spiritual and stuff like
spirits?
that.
You don't believe in spirits? You said?
No, I
So,
like okay. So
Why
spiritual
do things
experiences can happen,
close?
but I don't believe that spirits actually exist. What's happening is your brain is creating a scenario, and then your body is
It
like
could be.
experiencing it.
It could be that. It could be that, but there are some places that have paranormal activity, like like if you go to an abandoned jail, um, like people that were like on death row. Okay, you're definitely gonna feel some type of energy roaming those places. And if you
Yes.
and if you talk to these things, you talk to them and you get to know them, then they'll start opening up themselves to you.
Okay. So, and that's why people can be faked. These things can be faked.
Oh no,
They like have,
100% can be,
yeah,
but it's
and
real.
then but then also like it's difficult because the reason why that happens is usually because of confirmation bias. Usually, there are some situations where a person might go into somewhere and they feel some weird stuff and then they find out later that something bad happened there. Sure, but we don't have enough evidence to kind of say that it's ghosts. Like right now, what we know is that humans are having experiences. Hallucinations happen. Like
Yeah.
very complex situations occur that
So
cause these
what about a door
feelings.
slamming? Lights flickering, all your doors opening at the same time, furniture moving, and not a single person in your house.
I think like
Because
I
I've
don't
had that
know.
before. I've had doors slammed like in my parents' face that I never slammed before. Like, this, because I mean, like I feel like even doing any kind of like smoking or drinking or it's gonna lead to that more. You're gonna allow whatever's roaming around you to be around you.
Wait. So if you smoke and drink,
Yeah, so basically, okay, look, I've done all the studies. I've done like everything by myself. Like this is not research. This is based off personal experience. I've given my life to God. Okay,
okay?
I stopped weed. I stopped the lust. I mean, I stopped everything. Okay. The thing with that is the lifestyle I was living. I was getting attacked more every single day. Every single day I woke up, I was getting attacked. Like not even just through my mind. I was getting attacked spiritually. Okay. Every time I open up that Bible, afterwards I would get attacked. Every time I would go to church, I get attacked.
What
But
does
now,
getting attacked mean?
so spiritually, like your soul, your spirit is getting attacked by evil because I'm
So
allowed. Because
how does so you are attacking your
so
own
basically,
soul,
what happens is like evil. They don't like that you're worshiping God, right? Because the
okay?
evil, like God, casted down Lucifer, right? Because he wanted to be like him. So there's people that are just like the devil that are roaming this earth because we all have choices, and they can attack people. So like right now, me that I'm smoking, I'm drinking, I'm doing lust. They're all roaming around me. They're living inside of me. You understand? So unless I'm not living His will, you wouldn't understand what I, you know what I mean? Like if you fully, lived the Christian life, surrendered everything, did everything for God's will, you'll understand what I'm saying.
So, okay. Um,
It's a lot. It's a lot. I know.
yeah,
That's
and
based off personal
mostly like
experience.
I'm saying that like I don't you're it's bizarre that for example, someone will say like I'm being like someone will not be a Christian and will be like having a hard time, and someone will be like, well, that's because the devil is attacking you and like coming after you, and then you need to join Jesus so that that stops. But then also, if you join Jesus' side and you keep worshiping him, then he'll attack. Then Satan will attack you more, which
Well, I mean,
is
it's also different.
strange.
I've also well, you gotta understand something. Okay, so we live in the earth, right? God created the earth, the heavens, the earth, the universe. So you gotta understand this is not the God. This ain't God's earth. He flooded the earth because he was very pissed off what people were doing. Now, when Jesus came and died on the cross for everyone's sins, that's when God changed. God stopped hurting people. God, he looked in different
Oh,
perspectives.
okay. Well,
Because people were
I
talking about
appreciate that I
genocide.
appreciate that you said that God stopped hurting people, so then you believe that God was hurting people at
Yeah,
some
no, he
point in his
was. He was.
existence.
He hurt
Bizarre.
people. He hurt people, and if you didn't have the blood of lamb on your door, you were dead. That's it. Before
So
Jesus.
isn't that like pretty cool?
I mean, it kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to say, like, At the end of the day, the closer you get to God, the more you're going to be attacked spiritually. Because whatever is on this earth, spiritually, does not want you closer to Him. And if you aren't walking with Him, you're never going to notice because it's already living in you. So we all have vessels, right? Like if I took a blood vessel from you and I wanted to grow it or like plant it, it's the same thing. Like demons go and take control of your vessels and they expand in who you are.
Oh, well,
Does that make sense?
okay, so you have to understand that by your logic, like I pretty much have like demons running through my veins, correct?
Well, you're not going to experience it if you're not following God's will. You're not gonna
But
understand. Like
but that's what I have,
they
right?
are who you are.
Because if I would drink, if I smoke, if I did lust or something like that, let's say I did all of those things this week, does that mean that like I shouldn't I be like bad? Like shouldn't I be feeling bad or something?
No, no, you're not gonna feel bad. No, because that's what they want. So basically, you're actually gonna feel better. You're gonna feel so much better because they're winning and you're winning as well. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Because
so then what
that's what
about
they want. They
people?
want you to they want you to downfall. Like say for example, if you made $1,000 this week, okay, and you're doing all these acts, that little demon is gonna make you spend that $1,000 without you realizing it. You're gonna think you want something.
So I really need you. I need you to understand what you're implying.
Yes,
Are
yes.
you saying that there are
Everyone has
demons who
demons.
control my behavior?
Yes, and mindsets as well.
Okay. So,
And mindsets. So you can sit there and be like, oh, I'm controlling my own body, but when it comes to situations that they don't like, it's gonna turn different.
what do you
But if
think?
you're following it to sin, you're basically feeding them, and they're just chilling. They're not gonna bother you at all.
Okay. So then, like, what are what are the implications, in your opinion, of believing that the majority of the world is being controlled by demons?
I mean, just look at our crime rate.
That doesn't tell me that people are like that. It makes sense because humans are like we're animals. We can sometimes get aggressive with each other.
Oh, of
Like that
course.
makes
But
sense.
let's just
But
talk
to
about
say
that
that
environment.
humans are controlled by demons is an
Yeah.
entirely different situation.
Exactly. So when it would like say for example these people that like pew pew places like public places, you know what I'm saying? Those people are demonically controlled.
And I understand that, and I
Yeah.
understand that, but it also seems like you're saying that Sally Joe down the road who just, went to the bar is also being controlled by demons.
Yes, because that demon brought him to that bar. So basically, if you have demons living inside of you, they make choices for you.
So what if this same person went to a coffee shop? Is it the demon that told them to go to the coffee shop, or do demons not get
No,
involved
no.
in
I
coffee?
mean,
Only
they get
alcohol.
involved only when it causes harm.
What if this person has a caffeine addiction?
Okay, this person has like, say for example, he's a diabetic. He's not supposed to be drinking coffee, and he go pushes coffee. That whatever demon is inside of him wants him to crumble. So you
So
know what
you
I'm saying?
understand how that's like interesting, how like
Yeah,
it
no,
seems to
it is
depend on
interesting.
like the how the demon affects you kind of depends on
It's
certain
interesting, but
things,
this is based off experience, bro.
which also seems to be
I
the exact same thing as like patterns of addiction, which could well explain that, or like normal biological patterns, or like determinism could explain why someone wants to do something or like go to the bar, rather than saying that a demon.
I mean, it's weird. I remember back then when I was like 18 or 19, I was like smoking, drinking. I was on all types of things. And like, I was a normal person, but I was also like such an angry person. I was such an aggressive person. And I always like understood why, but it really wasn't me. It wasn't me making me angry. It wasn't me making me mad at people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all these arguments and relationships, that's just evil, bro. Like that's all it
and
is. So whenever
and like that is the problem. I think that's the problem. I think that arguments and that type of thing, it's not evil. It is
No,
just
it is. I mean,
human
well, it
nature.
depends on the situation because you can argue about literally anything, but if it's to crumble your relationship, that's what the devil wants. The devil wants to crumble your relationship, even your family. Like, the closer you are to God, the more you're going to get taken away from you. Like, if you still have your family right now and you start following God and you say, "Hey, yo, put the devil under my feet," things are going to happen.
I think
Life
that
is gonna
that's
happen.
you have to understand that that doesn't apply in all situations because my like yeah, my family, me and my family don't have a relationship because they're religious and I'm not.
So that right there shouldn't be a thing.
But it
Like
is a thing because they can't tolerate that the fact that I don't believe the same things as them. It distresses them.
I mean, as long as you're not like feeding stuff in their ears, I don't see an issue of like being family.
Yeah. So
That
that's
can
what I'm
change.
so it is so
That can
the
totally
opposite
change.
is it can be true that people who are so rigid in their religion sometimes can't tolerate relationships with people who don't think the exact same way as them.
Oh
Or
yeah,
they
I believe
can't
it.
not look at you like you are destined for hell every time they look at you in the face. So like it becomes really uncomfortable to share
Yeah,
space
I
with those
mean, the
types of
mother of my
people.
son, she was Muslim. I walked away from her. Like yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Um, and I'm also curious, which is definitely different than you kind of the what you came up here for initially.
Yeah, what's
But
up?
can you think of like anything in terms of like shared struggles or shared kind of like benefits between Christians and atheists?
Um, okay. So when we're talking about normal life, that's everyone's decision. Like you're your own human being. You make your own decisions. You do what you want with your life. But when it comes to spirituality, like I said, when it comes to Christians, you are going to be attacked. Okay, let's say for example, if you had a test, right, and it's like a 10 paragraph essay, and you're an atheist, right, and like this is something that you really have to get done, you're gonna pass. If you study, you're gonna pass. But when it comes to a Christian, let me tell you something. If you're, it depends how deep you are into Christianity or like how close you are to the will of God. Um, but that person that is a Christian that is very close to God that is going to do that test is going to struggle, 50% more because of those attacks. So,
Okay, so you're saying
like
essentially that
mental attacks.
Christians have it harder than atheists because they have demonic
Oh,
attacks.
I wouldn't say just Christians. I mean, just having any faith in Jesus and God, any type of religion that has faith like that is going to get attacked because
Okay,
whatever's
okay,
wrong here doesn't like that you're
okay. So
preaching.
I want you to think. I want you to use your brain. Can you think of any situations where atheists might be inconvenienced or attacked? And
No,
by the way,
atheists
I
won't
gave
be
you an
attacked
example like
because
30 seconds ago,
yeah, no,
by the
atheists
way.
won't get attacked because you're an atheist. They're already
Good
living.
God.
They're living inside of you already.
Florida. You're not understand. Okay.
No, maybe I'm not understanding.
Yeah. Like, what
So,
type of cultural struggles could an atheist experience in the world that might be just as difficult as the experiences that a Christian goes through? Could you think of anything?
I mean, just people hating on you. That's all. I mean, people hate on Christians. People hate on atheists.
Okay.
Like this is
For a second it sounded like you were kind of like it maybe is worse for Christians because there's like demons involved. Is that your
well.
opinion?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, if people don't believe in God, which is like a lot of this population, and you're a Christian man, and you're going out into public, and even if you just speak the word about God, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get attacked way more than an atheist. Because an atheist is not going to get attacked from a person of God because we don't roll that way. You know what I mean? We're not going to disrespect you. Say I've seen more atheists disrespect Christians. Well,
I think it's because there are different ways. There are different ways that
yeah.
people do things. Like
Oh no,
I
of
think
course.
that like for example, like the difference right now between Christians and atheists is that Christians have the cultural power right now. Like there are what state is it? Oklahoma, I think. There's literally some legislation to put Bibles in every classroom.
Well, that's a little absurd. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to Bibles, I do respect the Bible, but have I read the whole entire Bible? No.
You probably,
Um,
by the way, you probably should. If you're going to continue to profess
yeah, yeah, no, of
Christianity,
course, of
you
course.
probably should read the whole thing
No,
and
no, of course.
understand what you're,
No, but
yeah,
here's
because
my
it's
perspective.
a sketchy book.
Yeah, so here's my perspective on all these things. I have full faith in God. I believe in Jesus. Okay. When
Okay?
it comes to the Bible, I do believe we live in a time where just look at everything that's created. Okay, you have technology, we have stuff in space. What makes you think that they can't manipulate the Bible? Like when I was locked up when I was 18, I talked to a lot of pastors, and there are over 8 to 10 pages missing from the Bible.
Okay, do you know what you're okay? So why believe in Christianity then? The
So
Bible could be entirely fabricated.
because
What's the point?
it has nothing to do with what's written on a book. It has to do with spirituality and what I've experienced. I've experienced Jesus.
Okay.
God has done whatever he can for me to be like, okay, you're real. I'm not gonna deny that. You know what I mean? Like I have a lot of experience. Like
Right.
for even for me to be alive right now, I have done very bad things in my life. I mean very bad things. Like I feel like I was very protected. I feel like, God has got me out of situations that the devil could have trapped me in and kept me there, but God pulled me out of.
And you think that like God just
He
doesn't
doesn't
do that
just
for
do
other
it.
people?
No, he
Like God
does it.
just
He does it for atheists too. He does it for atheists too, right? Because we're all human beings. We all have a soul. We're all from him. Like even if you're disrespecting him, he's gonna love you. Even if you're going against his book, I'll go against the book, whatever's written right there, because that's man, like what I'm saying. I don't know what print that is. Like I know um, the true book is somewhere. We don't know what's in that true book, but I do know that there's a God, and I know that Jesus died on the cross for our sins because
like
I
how
heard
did like
it
how
from
do you know that Jesus
millions
died
of
on the
people.
cross for your sins? How
What
do you know
happened?
that?
Because
How do
there's
you know that
because
Jesus
there's
Christ died for your
testimonies
sins?
everywhere. Like how there's Christmas and we have Christmas every year.
Okay, so where did people get those testimonies from?
From people.
No, before that.
Like what do you mean? Like
Okay.
like
There
like
is no way.
eyewitnesses.
You're telling me that there's no involvement of the Bible in you believing in Jesus, and I'm trying to let you know that that's impossible.
No,
For
how is
you
that
to know
possible?
that Jesus exists, the
Yes.
Bible has to
So
exist.
can you imagine having such a blind faith that it's so powerful that I don't even have to
Yes.
open up the Bible to believe that Jesus died for my sins?
Yes, I was a Christian for the first half of my life.
So, but like,
Yes.
what experiences do you have versus me?
I don't know if that even matters. I had deep, deep, passionate faith and a deep love for Jesus. That's all that mattered to me.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Like
I'm
I
not.
didn't,
Yeah.
yeah, like I didn't need experiences. Like I believed in God before I had any experiences.
No, no, exactly. So what I'm saying is like I've had these experiences, but there's no human possible way I could have gotten out of these experiences if it wasn't for his help.
And
Like you would be so surprised. Like I'm Italian, I'm white. It has nothing to do with privilege, nothing. Like I have done bad things in my life, like really bad things, and God has like manipulated his way into people's brains, like helping me out.
which is like wild.
Like in a
Um,
way of like I'm not a bad person, but I do make bad mistakes, but I don't deserve to be in prison. That's pretty much what I'm implying here.
okay. Like I said, I think reading the Bible would be a good idea for
I mean
you.
I've read it, and I go back and
You just
forth
said
with
that you
people.
said that you haven't read it. You literally
No,
just said
no,
that you haven't read
I've read some of it. Like I know John 3:16. I didn't read the whole
it. Okay.
entire Bible,
That's what I mean. What I'm trying to say is you should read the entire Bible.
but
Like
I
you really
know
should
I know
read it.
one thing. Do you know Job in the Bible?
Yes.
Okay, so the thing with Job, he gave his life to God. Okay,
Okay.
100%. He was like God's number one. And Lucifer, he didn't like that, right? So what Lucifer did is he took his whole family. He killed his family. He killed. Oh, he unalived his family, his
I
kids.
know what Job is about. Okay,
Yes.
what's the point?
Okay, but he didn't go against God. So since he didn't go against God, he regained everything again. So it's kind of like a test for me as well. I fell into the Christian life. I was living for God's will. I met this girl. I started smoking, drinking, lust, all these things because I fell back into it. So that was my test that I failed because of another person. So not only am I hanging out with
Shouldn't
this person, I got to hang out with their demons too.
wouldn't okay, so with that logic, wouldn't someone's like life theoretically get worse after they leave Christianity, or would it get better?
Would they be going to a different religion or just atheists?
Like let's just say atheist.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't they would just be living this in the same time in the same like world that everyone else is living in that doesn't believe in God. That you won't even notice. Like you'll think you're yourself, right? You're like, oh, this is who I am, but deep down spiritually, like you got things attached to you. Like I can name a few things. Like we can talk about addiction, bro. Addiction is number one demon. Let me tell you something. And when it comes to not even just addiction, like everything, gambling, drinking, smoking, habits.
And like the other things that I try to think about, like that, like these are so, and to me, these are they're big things, but they're not as exciting and interesting as like a lot of the little things in life that people struggle with and have the difficulties with. And I feel like Christianity never addresses those types of things. They address the big things like how to navigate addiction, but not like, for example, like how to like practice like more calmness or something like that. Christianity doesn't necessarily offer a ton of that other than like trust
I mean,
God and
they
then
should.
you'll be calm, or just like trust Jesus, which isn't really
Well, I can
practical
explain to
step,
you when I was with God. Okay, like I mean, I'm still with God. But like when I was living His will for 100%, I was listening to like holy music, and bro,
okay?
I've had a peace that I have never had in like 23 years of my life. Like something
Right.
just I surrendered everything, and you could say it could be a mindset thing, because it's different, it's more opening, but it was so much deeper than that, bro.
And like, and that's very, very similar to a lot of people will say things like that about like reading the Quran. Like reading the Quran what gave them this overwhelming sense of peace that they've never felt before in their life. This is a very common phenomena with religious material. This is
Oh,
not,
but the thing is, I didn't read anything.
I know you were listening to music, and that's a
Yeah,
lot of people who read the Quran will just listen to the Quran being read out loud,
yeah, yeah.
and they claim having lots of different types of experiences, overwhelming same of feelings of peace, X, Y, and Z, and these very, very same exact types of feelings in like meditation or something like that.
Exactly.
But
So
what
Ashley
I'm
just
trying to
said,
say is that these are once again, just like I said before, these are human experiences that tend to be different when in different types of religions. That seems to that
yeah.
seems to
So like, let's
more
just forget about religion. Let's just forget about Christianity and atheists.
okay.
Um, so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just one God, and there's one Jesus. So when it comes to religion, I personally believe religion is just created. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're all like, let's say for example, when we all came onto this earth, we're all different groups. You got Indians, you got the Hispanics, you got the blacks, you got the whites, you got every single kind of race, you know. And
Okay.
we all spoke different languages. Okay, so we all probably thought like, hey, if we speak different languages, then we're gonna have our own religion. And I think that's exactly what happened. I think religion was just created because people are in different tribes, and that's how we went about. I feel like if you're really gonna believe, you're not gonna believe something that's written in a book that
Which,
was.
and like the fact that you're saying this right now is wild because you're not very incorrect. Like they're like anthropologists like have created even like diagrams and stuff that are obviously not perfect but show a little bit of the evolution of religion.
Oh, I know.
And
Yeah.
like it definitely seems to make a lot of sense that humans invented religion and kind of the idea of deities rather than deities existing and
Like,
communicating
yeah, I
to
personally believe
people.
like those events in the Bible did happen. Like, I'm not saying everything happened in the Bible, but like when it comes to like Jesus dying on the cross, I do believe that because I have been shown that. You know what I mean? It's not like I
Wait,
um
you were shown Jesus dying on the cross?
shown. Yeah, bro. Listen, I could sit here and tell you like 15 different dreams that I've had after opening.
We'll talk later. I don't know how to end this conversation, and I'm yeah. We'll talk later. Um, a couple of things that I'll say. Religious spiritual psychosis is real. Uh, just as a thing. Um, if you're ever having difficulty, this is kind of the thing. If you're ever having a difficulty reconciling your reality with consensus reality, you should be concerned. Please be concerned. um, like with things that can be proven. Like if it's more complex, like ideological situations, like that's you're gonna have way more nuance between individuals, but more foundational, like factual things. If you can't get a consensus, you should be worried. And yeah, you should be worried. Um, so that's my thing about that. I think it's incredibly problematic to see things like addiction as demon possession. Because number one, if you don't understand the root cause of what's going on, then you don't know how to treat it right. One of my favorite examples of how spiritual treatment can be useful, is actually incredibly useful, but may not be effective, like long term. For example, um, I know I watched, it was a documentary, and I forget what, I think it might have been Brazil, a exorcist in Brazil who like he's almost made a business out of exorcisms, and he has repeat customers at this point. And I hope that you understand what that means. That like people who have problems with addiction, problems with eating disorders, and stuff like that will say, "Oh no, I'm in a relapse. That means I must be demon possessed again. So let me go to the exorcist and be exorcised of my demons, and now I'm better." Then they go off on their own, thinking that they're cured of their demon, and then a couple months later, the demon comes back. Do you know how disempowering that is for that individual? They're not empowered with, here are the actual tools that you can utilize to help this psychological condition that you have that can actually be treated. No, you need to go to someone else and oftentimes pay money for this person to be exercised. So I have some complex issues about that generally, and then also, uh, what is that called? Like the patterns of his thinking. Yeah, he had like a different. Yeah, yeah. Um. Anyway, so uh, if you have anything that you needed to mention, flight of thought. Yeah, 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 yeah. That. Anyway, what's up?
Hey, Mav. So something that's been coming up a lot for me recently is thought canceling. So essentially,
Like thought
somebody is
crime?
no thought cancel. So it's something in cults where thought canceling
Oh, thought
statements,
terminating cliches.
thought terminating cliches. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Just thought canceling is the part that I'm focusing on. But
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
somebody on here has been reading The Cult of Trump. It's a book
Yeah,
by a Mooney, an ex Mooney, who became
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. Stephen
psychologist and
Hassett. I love Stephen
specializes
Hassett.
in cults, right? And
Yeah,
that was one of the things that really jumped out at me was this thought canceling. So they just repeat, and that's the way that you put it is accurate for the book. What the book said, they just repeat something that they've been taught to repeat whenever
right.
something contradicts their worldview. And that's
Correct.
I feel like an aspect of that, the thought cancellation is just this dodging of questions like essentially not goalpost shifting but pivoting that happens in these conversations where instead
Hmm.
of actually addressing what you're communicating about, they'll just pivot to another subject and completely ignore. Now, I didn't catch it, but somebody mentioned the Tower of Babel. Did you bring that up in the conversation and they were reinforcing that, or?
No, he like was like it was he kind of just missed he like moved past it. He was talking about how there were a bunch of people and then they all said different languages, and someone in the chat was like he just like missed the Tower of Babel. So it was like kind of adjacent. It was relevant to the conversation, but he didn't neither of us brought it up directly.
Got it. Yeah. So the reason that I requested up specifically was it's so common amongst, I'm going to say religious groups, but specifically Christianity in the United States, for people to say, "Do you see what's happening with crime? Crime is going down in general." That's just something that I do not ever want to. I never want to let that get away. Like
Oh my
it's,
God. That's a
dude.
good point.
And then just the
Yeah.
simple fact that, I think that if you ask anyone that's saying those, ridiculously incorrect claims, if you just say, like, do you understand that throughout history, religious groups have assumed that the end was nigh, like it's tomorrow,
Yeah.
it's next Thursday. Oh, it didn't happen Thursday. Okay, it's next month. Okay, it didn't happen that month. Now it's the end of the year, right? Y2K. Like that was a
Right.
full societal one, Like, oh no, Y2K is the end of the world. Like, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, we're obsessed. And then I just was, yeah, just AI says that crime rates have been globally trending down over the past couple of years. Things like homicide, violent crime rates, and everything like that. And obviously, it's not to say that crimes people are still not suffering. Like, obviously, that's still a true thing. But to be look at the way the world is coming to an end and crime is getting so bad. That's a little bit,
And can we
yeah.
just address the fact that another trend, you know what I'm going to say? Another
I know.
trend is a reduction of religious
Oh
adoption.
yeah.
Hmm.
Hey,
Hmm.
correlation isn't causation, but hmm, hmm. No, but for real. Um,
And then so obviously this topic is close to my heart, and I knew that you were the exact person that I wished to run this topic on TikTok, or YouTube, wherever you choose to run it.
yeah. I hope it goes well, and I'll probably run with it for a little bit to see if we can actually get anyone who is like,
Understands the assignment.
yeah. It might take a little bit of time, but
So I understand
I
the
like
assignment.
mentors.
I
Yeah.
understand the assignment. For me, this is very much a so again, I think I had mentioned it was in a debate regarding a trans individual was on
Yeah.
Carbon's Live. But for me, what jumped into my head was the political intersectionality. It's something that comes up a
Okay.
ton. So the right wing and the left wing, there we have more in common than we have different. We just talk about the differences more than we
More
talk
than
about the
the
sames.
similarities.
So,
Right.
and that's when I was like, wow, this really applies to Christianity too. Like Christians and atheists, 90% plus of our lives are not identical, but very similar. And like, okay, so, oh, well,
That's
that's
a very interesting point.
intersectionality.
Yeah.
That's intersectionality right there. We can unify. Like, and another thing politically is that how often people are saying, well, can't we just come together now? Now that you realize you're wrong because Trump won, can't we just come
Yeah.
together? You're still a bigot. Like, you're still a
Right.
bigot. And I don't come together with bigots. I will challenge your bigotry to the end of my days. All right. So that's like for me, that was the crux of the
Okay.
intersectionality. We are more the same than we are different. Now, this last guest comes in and says, you have demons because you don't believe in Jesus. Right?
Right.
Okay. What else do I have? Do we have intersectionalities? Do we, as people, as human beings, the three S's, shit, shower, shave, do we?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
If you prick us, do we not bleed? Also, last guest, if you're still here, please add a people to the end of the term black. If you're speaking about human beings, it's black people, please. Please.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else for me as just like regarding the topic?
No. I just think I think that it's actually really interesting because like um it, it like it's speaking to something that's been like brewing in my inside of me that's been like, and I don't know, they're obviously like the differences are really important, but the being able to explore the similarities and figuring out what it could look like to, like you said, it's very hard to like team up with someone who just like fundamentally doesn't like respect who you are as a person. But it's not even but. I think that just would be period.
Period.
And yeah, period. And my brain is also curious about like what it's like to explore the similarities in our struggle and to see what it could be like to even like connect in our shared struggles, perhaps. And that's that, and that be it. And maybe to be aligned with understanding our shared struggles or something like that.
So,
Not sure if it
CZ,
means like making community with or something like that because that does not seem feasible in my opinion.
I don't totally, in the comments, I don't totally deny what you're saying there. Intersectionality has a lot to do with, it's like, at least it's generally minority status. But
Hmm.
for me, it's the religious aspect that causes the minority element of it. So the intersectionality for this statement to me is, because, well, religious people, Christians especially, consider atheism a religion. They're like, well, you just believe God doesn't exist. It's a religion for you. Very similar to the way that that religious individuals consider science a belief system rather than merely a method of determining truth.
And I also
So
think if we think
so
about this situation globally rather than just in America, it makes more sense too,
yeah,
in my
exactly,
opinion.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because Americans, let's recognize that the world does not revolve around us. I'm sorry. And it's getting less so. Like, and that's one of many, people on the right. They're concerned. Wait, the world isn't revolving around America as much? Yeah, there's a reason. It's because we're doing our best to confront colonialism, and in doing so, we're going to have less authority globally. Like, that's just gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know,
Yeah.
CZ, before I drop down, CZ, did you have anything more to say about that? Because I am curious. Or CZ, if you want to speak to Mav after the next guest they have, yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts further on that. Everybody that's listening, we got 40 people here. Let's get Mav up to 10,000 likes. There is a little heart next to the right of Mav's username there at the top. Please click that. It's 1 coin. You join the team. We want to be a part of this team. We really do. Also, bottom right, I see no shares. Let's share, people. I have been remiss in this as well, but I've been tapping the screen. So, and if you hate Mav, if you're like, how dare you try to see how dare you try to see the similarities between Christians and atheists? There are none. You're devils. Tap Mav's face. Just tap it as hard as you
Yeah.
can.
And
Get Mav.
imagine you're punching. That would be
Exactly.
great.
A tap is a bap.
Wow.
That's it. I just coined that, and I'm going to say that now.
I like that.
A tap is a bap. All right. Love you, Mav.
Thank you. Thanks for caring about my engagement more than me.
Right. Thanks
Yeah.
for not caring. I appreciate that
Right.
about you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's probably bad for, the page or platform or whatever. And let's see if TikTok survives 2025. That'll be the interesting thing. Like, let's see if TikTok makes it. Um, and I'm not even gonna lie, guys. I really think that the reason I don't know, like, I've been watching like a lot of uh like old Black Coalition meetings and stuff, and they say blacks all the time. Like that just is the way they talk, like the way they talk. So yeah, I have to like reconfigure my ears to like normal people conversation. Goodness gracious. Um, but yeah, anyway, but that's important. And the other thing too, like actually, guys, this is an interesting position, an interesting thing. Have any of you in the audience read the book called My Grandmother's Hands? It's fantastic. I'm only like halfway through. I really am enjoying the book. And slash but I'm not sure how I feel about they in through the entire book he refers to like black and white people as black and white bodies. And I think first in the way that he describes it, it is very intentional and I think very important for the book. But utilizing that generally like outside of the context of that book might be interesting for people to hear. And I'm curious if people have thoughts about that. But that is, yeah, sorry, kind of irrelevant to this general topic, but I'm just curious. Let's see if this person. Okay, hello.
Hello. Uh,
What's
Thank
on
you.
your mind?
Not much. I was reading your prompt. I came in not during Anima, but during the person before him.
Okay, great.
Uh, and I I do agree. I do believe that there is intersectionality between Christians and atheists, and
Okay.
I do personally believe that really I think a bigger way for us to be able to recognize that is, you know, r- 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 realistic. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a stutter, so I
No
speak
worries.
a bit slow. Um,
No, I don't care. Take your time.
um, but I believe we should look more into the working class poor aspect if we really do want to see those those common grounds between the Christians and the atheists, because I hate to speak from any kind of anecdotal experience, but um, I I grew up in church. I left the church around 17, stopped believing in that kind of thing. But I still have family who's deep in the church. In fact, my wife's aunt, who is a Pentecostal, uh, I can see the way I listen to her speak about the way she interacts with people from her church. Uh, my wife's aunt, she's relatively poor. She has 8 kids. She, struggles to get by, does her
Yeah.
best. And she's a part of the Pentecostal church in this area.
Okay.
A lot of those people in the Pentecostal church, they come from money. They're established money within the church. And the way that they target her, the same way that they target other lower income people in the churches, is almost the same kind of way that they target atheists. They
Gotcha.
consider people who are poor to be dark seeds. Oh, well, they can't.
Interesting.
Yes, it is. I've noticed it's like it shows that you can espouse the same faith, walk the same lines as these people, and uh, the lower income you are, apparently, the further away from God you are, and that's quite interesting to me. And I wish that Christians would kind of acknowledge that among their own flock, because it takes me back to growing up in the Baptist church and seeing that same kind of treatment to me and my family. Um,
Yeah.
we were never treated very well because we were one of the poorer families in the church. Also, the fact that my mom was a Jew, so they didn't really like my mom very much, and therefore didn't really
Damn.
like. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the core of, I've always tried to hold to the idea that the core of these beliefs is, really just walking and living through the actions of Jesus Christ. That's really, at the end of the day, what anyone should do, is try to live a compassionate life, caring for everyone around them, be it Christian, be it atheist, be it Muslim or Hindu or anything. Is just caring, being
Yeah.
compassionate for everyone around you. I have to say, I'm a fan. I've been following your lives for a while. This is my first time ever coming
Oh,
up, and
cool. Thanks for coming up.
not a problem. I always love your prompts. I think you do a lot of good work. Um, I feel like I'm kind of embarrassing myself, stumbling around.
No, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me, and Anima as well. I
Absolutely.
mean, Anima was wonderful uh, at speaking his point, and
Yeah.
um, but yes, I also agree largely with the demon possession, or the demon possession for addicts, um,
Yeah.
because that is, as somebody who struggled with addiction in my youth, it wasn't God that necessarily pulled me out. It was, a very loving mother figure who
Yeah.
helped pull me out of that. So, I can't sit and say, "Oh, well, Jesus helped delivered me from the darkness." Humanity is what helped me through. And I believe that, if we try to paint it in the framing of demon possession, it really adds. You said the term spiritual psychosis, and
Yeah.
I could not agree more. Um, I think it's very hard for Christians to kind of peel away from the idea that things that they do not understand are demons. Like, especially, King James really gave people a terrible ideation of, adding demonology into their
Yeah.
biblical rhetoric, because that was never the point of the biblical text in the first place. Demonism wasn't ever really a heavy influence
Yeah.
until King James. Um, and I also agree with secular humanism. I have to say, good parents is God. Yes, because parents are God in the eyes of their children, and
Yeah.
no matter what, our kids usually unflinchingly question what their parents believe. And it's unfortunate how most kids, or a lot of kids end up with, I hate to say parents that don't teach them right, but really parents that often struggle to uh, teach their kids better ways than what they learned. Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
I've noticed that, especially with a lot, especially with this generation, the last generations where parents were a lot younger than they were than generations previous. Like in high school, I had a lot of friends whose parents were, oh God, they were in their like 50s, whereas my parents were in their 20s. Um, and it was, um, we, we've seen a lot of younger parents coming from broken up homes that have tried to establish their own families as soon as they gained their independence at a young age and had no idea how to guide and mold their kids
Oh
and
yeah.
try to show them a better way. And we've gotten to an era of a lot of kids that are just trying to figure out life and these practices on their own, and we just kind of thrust them into church and be like, okay, well, this is how our kids are going to be good. And it never turns out that their kids end up good. And it's because, I'm sorry, my brain kind of shorted out for a second there and I lost track of what I was saying.
Happens
Um,
to me all the time.
thank you so much. You guys are
Yeah,
wonderful. Um,
all the time.
however, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. My mouth is starting to dry up very badly and I need to
Thank you so much for sharing.
get some coffee. Thank you so much for having me up, and thank you so much for hosting this. I think it's wonderful
Absolutely.
that we're having this dialogue.
Great,
Um,
great. Thanks so much. Have a
you
good
have a
one.
beautiful day, my friend.
You as well. You as well. Um, and I sometimes I appreciate people sharing themselves and stuff like that. And a lot of times people like I have a guest who's like, these people are all stupid, and then the next guest is like, I am that person. I don't think I'm stupid. So I appreciate you coming up and being able to express like the your struggles with even like addiction and stuff and how uh the narrow perspective of viewing it as just like a demon problem or some type of problem that only has one religious solution is, I think, dangerous. But what do I know? I'm just silly and silly, and I don't know anything. Um, and so I would also say and to reiterate the part about like good parents are God, I would say like even bad parents are God. Like little kids see their parents as kind of like the first people that can't do anything wrong. So in that sense, I would agree. And I think that that one secular humanist person was maybe saying something to the effect of like, when people are kind, they are a representation of the idea of what God is or something like that. Sure. So a little bit of a stretch for me, but I can, I can entertain the woo-woo talk, you know. All right.